Alright, so the other day I said I got the Kastking Sparticus, this puppy right here, and I fished it. I fished it for barramundi, which, don't get me wrong, they fight hard. They pull drag. They're tough fish. But it's not like I hooked into a 40-inch snook and it couldn't stop it. It's not like I was grouper fishing with deadlock drag. It's not like I was bass fishing with top waters and had to, lock down the drag because there was a weed mat or something. I fished it with pretty loose drag, and I'm not really too impressed with the drag. There's a few things that I think could be different about this reel that would make it great. But, I get this is a $50 price point. There's a lot of hype behind it, I believe. I don't know how many times I went to go set hook on a fish and my drag slipped. Multiple times. I mean, it's just they would hit it, go to set hook, and I'd have 3 feet of play because the drag would just slip. It was bad. It slipped a bunch of times. Toward the end of actually using it, at the end of the day, it was making this weird grinding noise. And I can't hear it now, maybe because I'm not actually fishing with it, maybe because there's no pressure going on, but I could hear this weird, it sounded like a gear was broken, almost like the tooth of a gear had fallen off, and it was just, it didn't sound good. Something was wrong. I wasn't the only one who heard it either. I made sure other people could hear it too. Even right now, reeling it, it doesn't feel as smooth. It feels like there's something going on in there that isn't right. And I only used it one time. I fished it pretty hard, but that it shouldn't give me those issues. So I don't know what necessarily happened there. It just didn't feel right. So I fished it and I fished it and I fished it, and little tiny things, not really anything that really bothered me too much, besides the drag and something feeling not right. So when it came to actually overpowering fish with the drag, it really wasn't bad. I liked it. It was a smooth drag though. It wasn't jumpy. It wasn't it wasn't sticky by any means. It felt good. So when it was working and doing what it was supposed to do, the reel itself really did, it was great for a $50 reel. I've had Abu Garcia Black Maxes that feel 10 times worse than this, and this doesn't feel bad. It feels good. It feels like an expensive reel. There were just those little things about it that didn't make sense for something that is, it didn't make sense. It put into perspective that it is a $50 reel. The brake system was another thing that it definitely wasn't bad. It is, once I figured out how to get everything dialed in, it really was, pretty straightforward. It took me a while. I was throwing a light bait, so I will give it this. I was throwing a very light bait. I was throwing a 1-inch popper or 1.5-inch popper, really tiny thing, and something that a lot of people couldn't throw on a baitcaster. You would normally throw it on spinning gear. And once I got the brake systems all figured out, I was very happy with the results of that. It definitely, once I figured everything out, it was still touchy, but this reel, and again, I haven't thrown anything big on it, so judging by how it throws small things, I am very impressed with that. So I can give it that much. This reel can, if you're starting out and you want something that can do everything, for $50, this reel is fantastic. I'm actually going to take it apart, and I can feel just this little grinding in there. It doesn't feel right. So I'm going to take it apart real quick, and so you guys can take a look at what the insides of it are like, and give you a general idea of what we're dealing with. So I'm interested to see. what the drag stack looks like, what the pinion looks like, what the anti-reverse clutch looks like, all that kind of stuff, what the gears look like. Very interested. One thing, there is a lot of play in this handle. You can hear it from here, I think. That's just play in the handle. That I'm not a big fan of. The actual, handle itself, there's so much play in the whole thing. I don't like that whatsoever. So there is an issue with that. That needs to be, that needs to be improved. For sure. Alright, so I got it here, and I'm gonna go take this thing apart. See, so there's the bearing that sits right in here. There's that. Let's see, and bearing feels fine. I mean, it's moving just fine. It's anti-reverse clutch. Pop that out of there. There's that. It doesn't look bad at all. You can see the bearing. There's another one right there. There's a lot of grease in here, but you can see the reel being painted on the inside too. You can just see the paint's kind of faded right in there, but whatever, that's not a big deal. Here come the interesting parts. This is something. This is definitely something interesting. This is definitely very interesting because here's that sleeve. Look at the drag. See that bit of black right there? That drag washer is almost out of the reel, and the washer itself, it was like squished out. It wasn't even on there properly. And it's just look, this thing is like paper thin. This is like one of the thinnest bits of, this is one of the drags right here, or it's carbon fiber, I guess. But it's super thin. Paper thin, and they're not greased at all. That might be why my drag was slipping, because there's no grease in there whatsoever. It's dry. Take this off. And nothing out of the ordinary, except there's no grease on these whatsoever. Absolutely none. There's not even on the back here. I mean, there's a little bit on the back of this gear, but pretty much there's a little bit on the back of the gear, but there is absolutely no grease inside the drag stack at all. That's a bit surprising. That might be why my stuff was slipping. Besides that, it looks exactly like any other baitcaster. I mean, I don't see any, there's no broken teeth or anything on this gear that I can see. So, that's not the issue. I think it was just because the drag itself, I mean, it literally doesn't look any different than any other inexpensive baitcaster on the inside. So, yeah. Nothing spectacular here, that's for sure. Alright, so taking apart that reel, just the only thing I can really think about was that maybe after I re-grease those gears, or excuse, not the gears, but the drag stack, maybe that'll help with the whole slipping and everything like that. I mean, it makes sense. I don't know what that grinding noise was. Maybe it was because everything was so loose. That's the only thing I can really think about. Everything else looks fine in the reel. I mean, it's just an inexpensive baitcaster. That's really all it is. It does have a lot of drag washers. You know, well, I understand why it has the drag capabilities that it does. And, you know, it's not bad. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the reel. It's very... Let me rephrase that. There shouldn't be too much wrong with the reel. For the price you pay, you get what you get, you know, and it's not a $200 reel. Obviously, you're trying to save money with buying stuff like this, you know, and it works. I do recommend it. If you're going to pay $50 for a reel, a baitcaster that is, it's a great starting baitcaster. I mean, it's a little tricky to figure out the brakes, but you got to figure it out somewhere. My first baitcaster was an Abu Garcia Black Max, and I didn't have any room to mess with the brakes like I do with this reel, and I paid roughly the same price at the time. So it's definitely a good reel to start off with, and I like the drag. That slipping, I'm gonna do a follow-up video after I grease everything up, and I'll go snook fishing with it, put it to saltwater test, and I'll let you guys know what I think of that. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked this video. I like taking apart reels. I like looking at them. So hopefully I can do more stuff like this in the future that you guys will enjoy. So I also saw in the comment section, you know, if you compare and contrast different lures. I'll be doing that kind of stuff very soon, but thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment future video ideas that you would like me to do, because I will do my best to do them. Soon enough, I'm going to be doing a little bit more challenges, going to be targeting specific species. I'm probably do some catch and cooks and stuff like that. I know you guys like that. So once again, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, share, all that good stuff. More content is coming, and I may not be able to upload every day, but definitely every other day. That's what I'm trying to do at this point. And you know, my work schedule is changing. I got a boat, so once that's up and running, things will be a little different. I can go out and do more videos on the water as well. So I'm very excited for that. Almost got the boat done, and I'll definitely be doing some more fishing videos. So thank you guys for watching, and you know, have a good rest of your day.